Tonight? Great. Well, we're glad you're here. I'm Richard Frieder. I'm the Director of Community Development here at the Hartford Public Library, and it is my pleasure to welcome you tonight for this very special program about quality of life in Hartford's neighborhoods. The topic of quality of life is of particular interest to the Hartford Public Library because it really is at the heart of what we do every day. So we're especially glad to be hosting this program tonight. Before we get started, I did want to just quickly tell you about a couple of things happening here at the library. I have to get my commercial in, you know. On the 29th of October, next week, in this very room at 4:30, we're going to be collaborating with the Hartford Guardian to show the film Freedom Riders. It's a documentary about the civil rights movement in the early 1960s. I hear it's a terrific film. I haven't seen it myself, but I hope some of you will join us here on the 29th at 4:30. And also on Sunday, the 17th of November at 1:30, Reverend Henry Frascador will be here. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Some of you may know that Henry is a retired Catholic priest who lives downtown and can often be seen walking in Bushnell Park and elsewhere downtown, sharing his philosophy of life and talking with people. And he has written a new book of poetry, so he'll be here on November 17th at 1:30 to talk about that. So I hope you can join us for those two programs. There's more information about other great things happening here at the library on the back table. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Jackie McKinney, the co-chair of Hartford 2000, so we can get underway with tonight's program. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you, Richard. This is very exciting. I could get a little giddy. Far more people than we expected would come, and we're glad to have all of you here, and a lot of new people. Quality of life is important in the city of Hartford. Again, I'm Jackie McKinney, and along with Bernadine Silvers, we're co-chair of Hartford 2000, which is a coalition of the neighborhood NRZs. And there are 13 in the city of Hartford. And we, along with the library and the police department and the city, sort of put together this program called Quality of Life. Probably one of the most important things to all of us who live here is the quality of life around us. Do you feel safe to go from point A to point B? Do you feel that you get good city services? Things like that, or that are really important, can make or break whether somebody decides to stay in a city. And this is an opportunity for us to make Hartford a destination place. People want to come and live here, move here. It only can be good for the city and for ourselves. So we were really happy to present this conversation, Linda Bear likes to call it conversation, amongst residents in the city of Hartford. And just seeing all these faces here is just really wonderful. So without further ado, I'm going to, who am I turning it over? To Richard again, and he's going to get us started of what's going to happen. And I think at some point the mayor will be coming in to say a few words too. So we're glad you're here. Have a snack, some refreshments, and on with the show, on with the evening.
Thanks, Jay. I'm the show, I guess. I'm back, but this time with a different hat on. Now I have my Hartford 2000 board member hat on. And what I'm going to do in the next few minutes is explain a little about this quality of life initiative and how it came to be. Let me ask, first of all, how many of you were at one or more of the quality of life community conversations in August and September? Okay, quite a few. So for you, some of what I say is going to be a repeat, but for quite a few folks here who are not part of it, this will help them sort of understand how we got here. Once upon a time, no, I'm not going to make it that long a story. But I will go back about 10 or 12 years, I believe, when the SysCon NRZ created something that they called the Neighborhood Standards. It was a document that listed a whole variety of really quality of life issues like noise and picking up after your pet and litter and garbage disposal, et cetera, et cetera. And they also included in this document city ordinances that related to each issue. And they collaborated with the Hartford Police Department to create this neighborhood standards document. And I think people in SysCon and the police department found it useful. In fact, I understand that copies of it were laminated in plastic and carried in the police department cruisers. So years went by, and this had sort of been forgotten about, maybe not entirely, but Bernadine Silvers from the SysCon NRZ, who's here tonight somewhere, I know, there she is, said one night at a Hartford 2000 meeting, hey, why don't we revive the neighborhood standards, but this time make it citywide, because these issues are not specific to SysCon, they are citywide issues. So everybody agreed that that was a good idea. So it took really a year or two to dig out this old document, completely update it, add some things to it. It was actually approved by the city council. And it now exists, and it's available on the Hartford 2000 website and elsewhere. But as we did this work, we thought to ourselves, how can we make sure that this is not just another document that gets stuck into everybody's file cabinet or is forgotten on everybody's email or hard drive or whatever, and in this electronic age. So we kicked around some ideas about how to get people really engaged in this and make it kind of a live-in document. And we decided that we wanted to engage the community. We wanted it to be action-oriented. We didn't want to just have people talk about it, but we wanted them to have an opportunity to come up with ideas and of how to improve quality of life, and then have an opportunity to make some of those ideas happen. And we did realize, by the way, that the neighborhood standards was really about a larger set of issues that we refer to as quality of life. So we wanted to be action-oriented, we wanted to be engaging, we wanted to be community-driven. So we did not really want to have an event or a series of events where it might be a panel discussion or experts talking to an audience, that sort of thing. We wanted you and anybody in Hartford who wanted to be involved to really be there and to be engaged and to drive the process. And we wanted it to be sustainable. We all know, and this is not specific to Hartford, it happens everywhere, there's lots of good ideas out there. Good ideas come and go. A lot of them get off to a good start, and then they sort of evaporate and fade away. So we wanted to try to make this something that would have results and would be sustained over time. So with all those desires or goals, what we came up with was these community conversations that we had in August and September. Because for those of you who were there, it uses a particular approach, a particular format, which is, first of all, you try to get a great diversity of people into the room, which I think we were quite successful at. And then you have small group discussion. Again, it's not a panel discussion, it's not experts speaking to an audience. And it's action-oriented because the small groups first talk about quality of life issues, but then talk about, well, what can we do to make quality of life even better? What are some action ideas? And then action teams are formed, and then at a later date, the action teams get together and try to make some of these action ideas happen. And by the way, along the way, we connected with and partnered on this initiative with several organizations, of course the NRZs, the Mayor's Office, and the City Council, the Metro Hartford Alliance, the Hartford Police Department, and last but not least, the Hartford Public Library. So these three community conversations happened, August 24th, September 7th, September 28th. A grand total of a little over 200 people attended, and several action teams were formed. So we're here tonight to hear a little bit more about this whole initiative, hear from some of the action teams that were formed. Now, I'll tell you right up front that there hasn't been much time yet for the action teams to actually accomplish anything. But as you'll hear, a number of them have gotten off to a good start. And we'll hear a little bit from some of the partner organizations, and we'll talk about next steps. So that is some background and what we're going to be doing tonight. Now, in this initiative, we realized we needed a little bit of help because we were using an approach and a format that we had not used before. So we were fortunate to find Alice Leibowitz from the Dialogue to Action Project. And I am now going to turn it over to Alice to lead us through the next piece of the agenda. So thank you very much, and here's Alice.
Thank you, Richard. Ooh, that's an impressive microphone. So Richard had people raise your hand if you were at a dialogue. Raise your hand if you weren't at any of the dialogues. You're all sitting together, which messes up my plans. All right. We wanted, Richard gave an overview of what we did at the dialogues, but we also thought it would be great if some of the people who were there could talk about their experiences. So I really want to do this interactive. Should I do it? I don't. Okay. If you were not at one of the dialogues, put your hand up again. If you were not at one of the dialogues, put your hand up again. Okay. So can someone who was at one of the dialogues make sure to partner with everybody so that nobody who Okay, I'll give the directions and then you'll figure out how to make it work. Turn to someone sitting next to you, and if you were both at the dialogues, just say, what was your favorite experience? And you have 1 minute each. If one of you is at the dialogue and one of you was not, just tell them what happened. Now, if everybody who's sitting near you was not at the dialogue, if you're in that corner, you might actually have to stand up to do this activity. So 1 minute, the question is either, what was your favorite thing that happened, or what happened? And yeah, we've got 3 people. Yeah, why don't you bring it toward the front? And are the people do they want to come up to the mic, or are they going to share from there? Okay. Okay.
I thought we decided we weren't going to do this piece.
We were going to not, but then there were so many people and multiple rows, it seemed like the conditions were there.
Okay.
So, but I'm going to stop them because we don't have a lot of time. Okay. Okay. We had a couple of people who agreed in advance to share their experiences. Did we have a sequence, or? Marilyn? Marilyn is right here. You want to come on up and tell the group?
Okay, this has to come down, man. How do you do this thing?
Well, let's see. Will that be enough?
Will that be? Okay. Welcome, bienvenidos. I'm Marilyn Cruz Aponte from Public Works. I'm assistant to the director. And I was able to attend all 3 sessions, and I have to say that I was very impressed with the organization of the sessions. It was kind of like speed dating, but not. And so it was enjoyable because, you know, how often do you get to meet you know, maybe 20 or 30 people when you attend a meeting. Usually the meeting is set up so that someone's talking and the rest of us are sort of listening. And so that was the dynamic nature of the meeting was really what made those connections for me. I have to say that there are many senior citizens at these meetings, and I got to see through the eyes of older people what was, in fact, Hartford in the past. Its history, its culture, its diversity isn't something new, although it's evolved. But I also got to see Hartford through the eyes of people who are new. And in particular, I was impressed by a gentleman whose name is George. He's an artist. George, where are you? Hello, there he is. I saw Hartford through the eyes of a new arrival, a person who is a political refugee who came here to look at Hartford as a place for opportunity, for freedom, for not looking at it from what it was lacking, but what it was offering. And I thought that that was striking to me, that I could go to a meeting and see through the eyes of someone new. I heard people talking at these sessions. The amount of talking was amazing. And it was, you know, it was a nice sound because it wasn't blaming and yelling and defending and fighting and telling people off. It wasn't that kind of talk, but it was a talk about the beauty of Hartford, the assets, the potential. It recognized the obstacles. You know, I always tell my kids, you can always think about things in life as either positive or negative, but things are just what they are. And when you don't deal with them as positive or negative, there may be opportunities in whatever you're experiencing. And the other magical thing I experienced was listening. I can't believe it. I mean, there were rules and people were following them, and people were listening, and people were listening to each other, which is really the beauty of the sessions, listening to each other. Finally, I saw people split up into groups and talk about topics from the perspective of how we could take individual action. And as a public employee, I know that I'm only as strong as the people who live in this city. So it was very affirming to hear and see those experiences and be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. And actually, we were going to hear from George next. You want to come on up?
Hi, excuse me, I'm speaking my English with a French intonation because I'm coming from a French-speaking country. So Hartford for me was something new because I was new. I just know my area where I was living. This is Anna area. It's Salem Hill on the side. So when I was invited to share with the group, I say it's not bad. I'll know more people. And really, I was able to know more about the past of Hartford. It was important for me to know the city where I decided now to live. So I'm able to know the past of Hartford, the history of Hartford. And what was very important is the importance of living in Hartford. One of the topics, the environment, the quality of life, security. We went through all those aspects, and for me it was great because if my family have to come and join me, I have to be sure that I'm going to live in a safe place. And all those aspects was touched, you know, so we were able to discuss freely about it, and really was great. It was an opportunity also to have new friends for me, you know, and also to ask myself, what can I give to the city of Hartford as a newcomer? So we came across ideas, and we have the idea of what I call the skill bank. It's something that you can do, what you can do without thinking about money to your friend. It's the base. You know, we can do something. Everybody have a skill somewhere. You know how to cook, you can know how to sing. There's something that you can know how to do. You can just drive. It's a skill. And somebody also don't have a car, you can help that person. And we have figured out, after some times, we plan everything. Even we try it on the net. So I think you can contact the Hartford 2000. They will give you the website where you can register and see more things because it's actually working. So thanks to Hartford 2000 for that idea. Thank you.
Thank you, George. And the last person who offered to speak was Reverend Albert Bell.
Good evening, everyone. Peace be to you all. At the moment, I have one agenda on my mind, and that has to do with the Hartford inner city communities. Now, at one time, the city was organized and we had community outreach workers, and they were cut off at the shins. The funding was cut off. But you pick up your newspaper and see where our mayor gave his departing aide severance pay of 3 figures, thousands anyway. I'm quite sure there's enough surplus money in the community. You know, it goes beyond money. It goes beyond the preservation of the neighborhoods. I was a founder of the South Arsenal Resident Association, the only community organization I know, tenant association, to be chartered by the state of Connecticut at one time. I got a time limit?
Yep.
How many?
You're at it.
Okay, well, let me see what I have to say.
No, you've got about 20 more seconds. Go ahead and wrap up.
All right, 1, 2, 3. My point is, let's get some energy back and get our community organizers back to sort of get the neighborhoods together with the block watches and whatever. But we had elects come out from under us. We need a spokesperson, and these are the spokespersons. And we need to dun the city and the city politicians to put them back. They cut them off from, we had Hart was coming to the coming to Tim Marshall to help us get organized. They cut them off. So I'm just a one agenda person at the present moment, but I can be quite garrulous. I got a lot to say, but they cut me off at the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Bell. So I'm going to turn the mic back to Jackie, but just wanted to let you know here's a board with some of the comments from the people who were at the events themselves. And now Jackie's going to thank the participants. Right?
Sorry for the delay. I needed a name check. I don't hold names in my brain anymore. They come and they go. I may know you well, but I forget your name. I just want to this really is a celebration. This is a celebration of what we've accomplished and what we hope to do in the future. And so what I'd like to do is to just have some of the attendees, we can have them stand and we can acknowledge the work that they did on these 3 Saturdays. The people that were, the citizens that attended our first workshop, what was in Parker Memorial, would you stand up? And we can give you all a hand. Let's give them a hand. And then our second workshop was Pope Park. Can we hear from Pope Park people? They stand. And finally, our last group, which was at Grace Lutheran Church, would you stand? And then let's have everybody stand up and just acknowledge, everybody who attended stand. We can acknowledge the work that you've done. I think this is a great start. Oh, yes. Were there any souls who had the perseverance to attend all three? Stand up. You get special applause. 3 Saturdays. That's an amazing gift to the city and to your community. And thank you very much. We're going to take a small break here to acknowledge some of the people who supported us and helped us to get this this going. And let's start with the Great Hartford Metro Alliance. Excuse me, Oz, would you come and say a few words for us?
Good evening, everyone, and Reverend Bell, I'm garrulous also, but I won't talk too long. I'm here from the Metro Hartford Alliance. My name is Oz Grable. Julio Concepcion is one of my colleagues. We were pleased to work with Bernadine Silvers and Jackie and Ted in helping support this and launch this. Bernadine and Jackie and Ted made a presentation to our board about, I think, back in June, and the whole concept of bringing people together on these 3 sessions was enthusiastically and unanimously endorsed. The only thing I'll say here tonight in listening to this celebration is, as some of you may know, the new tagline for this city and promoting it is Hartford Has It. And when you sit here and look at all the people in this room who are committed to this city with all the assets it has, this is what really makes this city special and what gives all of us confidence that its future is every bit as bright as the past, as some of you talked about further. So when I think of Hartford Has It, I think of Hartford has Hartford 2000 and all of you, and it's been our pleasure to support this, and we look forward to working with you to move some of these agendas even further forward to success. Thanks very much.
And we'll just have one more speaker. We're hoping the mayor will be able to drop in, but he's not here yet. We'd like to have the chief of police come up. It was amazing at each session. We had at least a half a dozen police officers attend, and they worked really hard with the rest of the group. And that was, I don't know, kind of gives you a warm feeling. They're here to support us and part of this recognition. And so as a result, we thank the chief for promoting that and supporting us.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for inviting me. And I first said at our initial meeting that we couldn't find a better partner than Hartford 2000 to partner with. And, you know, I was speaking with Chris Pleasanton from Community Court, and to show our investment into this, Chris, we made your courthouse the busiest courthouse 2 months running, correct? And then we made your courthouse 2 months after that to be the second busiest courthouse in the state. So we are totally invested in this. And as you know, we've taken over ES&T, which has our 311, which we're going to rebuild and take another look at and take a critical look at it. And that's invested into our community and what we want, that open dialogue. And when I walked up to the podium, I can't help but tell you, I came to complain about HPD, but I met such wonderful officers. And this is pretty much our philosophy, folks. We can't police our way out of our problems. It's a give and take. It's we have to keep that dialogue open and running. But before I take my leave, I want to point out a very good friend of mine, Deputy Chief Hightower. Would you please join me for 1 second? And folks, am I going to catch it tomorrow? So, if you don't or do know, Deputy Chief Hightower is a very good friend of mine, and I appointed him Deputy Chief back in December last year. He's retiring, but he's not really leaving us. He's not leaving the city. He's going over to the state's attorney's office, actually, from where I came from. He's been a great friend, a valued partner to everyone in the city, and one should never doubt his heart and where it lies. So, ladies and gentlemen, after 20 years, Deputy Chief Hightower.
You know, it's been a real honor in serving here, the residents of this city. I've worked literally across this city, and quality of life has really been my mainstay. I did it as an officer. I promoted as a sergeant and as a deputy chief. I believe in quality of life. I believe everyone should have a quality of life. And that's the way I policed no matter where I was in the city. So I appreciate all the support. Bernadine, love you. Steve Harris, the support, and there's been times we've had some battles, and NRZs have been there for me, and you've stood with me, and in some cases stood in front of me to help. And this man here, I love this man. He has never told me to stop. He's never told me to keep going, and we kept pushing that quality of life. So the Hartford Police Department really is committed to each and every one of you, each neighborhood in this city. There should be no doubt about that, and I thank you. I thank each and every one of you. Thank you.
Okay, before we hear from the action teams and hear about some of the things that went on and have been going on since we had the sessions, just a couple of things. We have what we call over here the Wall of Fame. If people come in and if you can just jot down something of your experiences over the last, well, we started in August, so the last few months, fill it out and put it on the Wall of Fame. That will be appreciated. If you need a sticker, raise your hand and we'll get a sticker to you. The other thing is that everybody who attends today, we don't have the frames, but we have certificates with your name on to say that you participated in the city's quality of life. And we have a young woman who is now, as you signed in, she is now copying your names down. So when you get ready to leave, they should be on the back table. So those are sort of a couple of things that will be happening as we go along. I'm now going to turn the microphone over to Linda Bear, the lady who wanted us to have conversations. And I think it's a great name. And she'll take us through the next few minutes.
Thank you. Good grief. Okay. So Richard was telling you about the action teams. Some of you are on action teams, and you know that these are groups of people who came up with ideas for improving the quality of life in Hartford during one or more of the community conversations. And they've made a commitment to take certain actions, hence the name, Action Team, over the next however long it takes to improve our quality of life. So we've asked representatives of the action teams that have been meeting to come and talk to you very briefly about what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how you can get involved. And a little bit later in the program, there will be an opportunity for you to get together with other people on those action teams and see if you would like to be a part of them. So what we've asked the action team representatives to do is to tell you what the topic is that they're working on, introduce their teammates, tell why the topic is important, that is, why did you select this topic to create an action team about, to share what they've accomplished so far and what their plans are going forward, and then to say a few words about how the community conversations helped support the work that they're doing. So I believe our first action team is the Neighborhood Alliance Action Team, and our speaker is Linda Kurlowski. Linda.
Hello, everybody. My name's Linda Kurlowski. I'm the community librarian and the branch manager at the Blue Hills Branch Library. Our action team is the Neighborhood Alliance. As you can see over there, we've got signs made up and everything. We're really ready to go. My involvement came because, I don't know if you all know, but we had a lot of shootings around Blue Hills during the summer. One of them was right outside the library, and it was a pretty sobering moment for my staff and I to realize that we were responsible for about 25 kids that were in that library at the time when bullets were flying everywhere. And I realized something needed to be done. The police have been great. We've got 2 new officers, Officer Karen and Officer Rahman, and they're patrolling that area, but we need to do more ourselves. And it has to come from the people in the neighborhood. The Quality of Life community meeting that we attended came just at the right time. It was nice to speak to everybody and find out that we're all on the same page, we're all thinking the same things, we just need to get up and do something about it. So, having spoken to people, we decided to start the Neighborhood Alliance. And just after that meeting, let me see what his name, Andrew Woods had a meeting, and it was involved with HART, which is the Hartford Area's Rally Together, and they train people to do neighborhood watches. I mean, went to 2 meetings that were 2 hours long, and they really trained us up, and we know what to do now in order to get people involved into neighborhood watches. We're not using the word neighborhood watch because it has connotations of policing the streets and everything, and that's not what we want to do. That's up to the police to do. What we want to do is have everybody speaking to each other, knowing their neighbors. So it's going to be in a small area, maybe 15 houses, no more than that at all. And everybody is to get to know their neighbors, get to know problems that they may have, help the elderly, and just take care of the situation around them. If there's potholes, if there's trees that are dying, if there are lights out, if there are, anything that might be a bother, then they can come to me, or they can have a spokesperson, and they can help deal with these issues. So, and a lot of the issues were safety, littering, loitering, burglaries, illegal parking, speeding, noise control, care of the elderly, and especially better communication in the community in general. So we went to the trainings, and our first meeting is going to be on December 7th at the Blue Hills NRZ meeting, which is held at the Blue Hills Branch Library from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock roughly. And hopefully we're going to get a lot of people involved in this, and hopefully it will spread from street to street as people hear about it and see how it's working. We're hoping it will spread. And it was great to go to these meetings and find that everybody is thinking the same thing. So it should be easy to do as long as we're all willing to work. And that's the thing. I go to a lot of meetings and I sit there and it's all blah, blah, yes, yes, but we don't do anything, So now's the time to stand up and actually do something. So I'm going to be responsible for this. I will be a point person for it. And we're involved with several organisations now. So we've got Hartford 2000, Hartford Public Library, the Blue Hills NRZ, the Blue Hills Merchants Association, Christian Activities Council, HART, Andrew Woods, students at the Capital Community College. So between us, we ought to be able to make a difference and make things safer for the residents. And that's what we're hoping for. So
Thank you.
And I should just say our team over here is Donna Thompson-Daniel, she's the BHNRZ chairwoman, Nicole McKinley, we've got Cleo Duke-Wright somewhere, Lindsay from Capital Community College, and I'm going to include Lourdes Fonseca and Evelyn Richardson, who are over there, because they've helped us so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. So afterwards, you'll have the opportunity to join with Linda and her team. Our next action team is the Do Not Litter, Keep Hartford Beautiful action team, and our speaker is Ronnie Vasquez. Let's give Ronnie a round of applause.
Either or, right?
Either or.
Good evening, everyone. As Linda mentioned, my name is Ronnie Vasquez. I'm with the City of Hartford. I work with the Livable Sustainable Neighborhood Initiative, and we deal with blight conditions throughout the city. My interest in the litter team is very important to the work that I do with the city. And so I'm going to briefly go over some of the points of what we've done so far. Introduce your teammates. On my team, I have Maria Giaco. I don't know if Maria is here right now. I also have Ronaldo Aviles. Ronaldo here? No. Charmaine Craig from Knox Parks. We have Marilyn Cruz Aponte from the City of Hartford, Public Works. We have Alan Redding and also Angel Cologne that are on our team. A little bit about the team. We met probably like 2 weeks ago, and we had a meeting here with our group, and we had some new members that came in. But really what we're trying to do is we're trying to look at litter and see how we can involve our greater community, our stakeholders. Some of you may not know, but the city is working on an anti-litter campaign. And that's something that we would like to launch later on in the springtime. So we saw this as a perfect opportunity right now to start planning to see how we can have all of you involved in terms of playing a positive role in terms of the litter campaign. And that component really means we need your participation in terms of identifying our areas in our communities where we have a lot of litter. And so we're developing that plan with the help of Marilyn Cruz Aponte and also Charmaine Craig. And Charmaine works with Knox Parks, and they have a litter cleanup group, which they actually provide cleaning resources for any group that's interested in cleaning. So we want to be able to use the resources that we have already that are available, and we also would like to have more input from our community overall. So that's the overall goal. We're planning to probably have another meeting, I think, within 3 weeks, sometime in November. So we will pick a particular date that will work for the group members and anyone else who's interested. If you want to participate in our group, feel free to see me at any time, and I hope you can join. So we're having that in November. Say a few words about how the quality of life community conversation has helped support this work. Well, I think this has provided a perfect forum for our effort. And so we want to be able to utilize all the NRZs that are part of Hartford 2000. And we also want to be able to use all the other individuals and all the other groups throughout the community, throughout the city of Hartford that are interested in participating. So this discussion that we're having is very important to bringing in participants throughout different neighborhoods throughout the city. So I think it's just a wonderful experience, so we could bring everyone to the table and hopefully get out there and start cleaning our neighborhoods.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you.
And Ronnie talked not just about cleaning, but building community. And that's the name of our next action team, which is Building Community Action Team. And our speaker is Olu Bey.
Hello, everybody. Actually, we call the committee Celebrating Community. Because if you asked me if Hartford as a community was a glass half empty or half full, I'd just say yes. It's half empty and it's half full, but we're going to celebrate the fullness of it. So our committee is made of Martha Kelly, Jen Parduse, who I think was here but might have had to leave, and Miss Pat Johnson. Although Miss Pat Johnson's actually going to participate later on when we start dealing with getting our local artists together to help create a more beautiful aesthetic in Hartford and celebrate its diversity through artistic installations and community performances. So the purpose of our group is to celebrate our communities and begin to truly appreciate their diversity. We all like to talk about Hartford's diversity, but celebrating our diversity goes beyond eating at an ethnic restaurant or watching a cultural parade. It's more about visiting our neighbor's kitchen, opening our hearts and homes to each other. Diversity is not a melting pot where everyone and everything becomes one homogeneous mush. It's more like a salad, where all of the ingredients maintain their individual integrity and taste while coming together to form a delicious meal that we can all enjoy and appreciate. We've begun our campaign in a very simple way. We have 4 members, but we've started with the initiative that everybody who wants to can participate in. We want to celebrate our community and each other face to face on a street level. So every day as you go around in your daily activities, smile at somebody you don't know and say hello. That's the beginning of our initiative. It's a small step, but it's just the beginning of a campaign to make Hartford a city we all enjoy. As we grow in membership, we will ask our local artists to help beautify our city. We're going to ask the city if they'll allow us to put artistic installations in all the empty storefronts, like pop-up art galleries that celebrate our diversity, and also if they'll allow us to beautify some of these abandoned buildings, so that we begin to show people that we care about the appearance of our city just as much as we care about our own personal appearance. A few words about the quality of life conversations. This team wouldn't have came into being if it wasn't for the quality of life conversations. I mean, I can't say we wouldn't have met each other and came together at some time in the future, but I doubt it, very seriously. The fact is that this series of conversations were necessary, and they remain necessary if we're going to break down the walls that we have unconsciously and sometimes consciously allowed to prevent us from making Hartford the best city it can be. A city we are all comfortable living in, feel safe living in, and most of all, really enjoy living in. So we want to celebrate our communities. We want to celebrate each other face to face.
Thank you. And we will definitely change the name on our publications to Celebrating Community. Our next speaker is Martha Kelly. Her action team has the longest name of any of them: Anti-Incineration, Recycling, Composting, and the Reuse Action Plan.
Hello. Well, bear with me, please, because, and that doesn't even mention the idea of conservation by never letting it come into being in the first place. Anyway, obviously this committee needs a snappier name. So I hope there's some clever people out here who will help me sum it up in a way that makes sense. And also, we need you. My vision is that this is not simply anti-incineration or simply recycling, but because we have such a vast need to get the trash out of our neighborhoods and our lives, and yet not burden the city with a huge bill for removing it, because we all do pay. Every bit that we throw away gets weighed and burned, and then we breathe the residue of it. These are all reasons we really don't want to go there. And there's a lot that we can do, whether it is buying differently, or composting, or finding an object and making use of it in a new way. And there's a lot of creativity possible. And there's a lot of different communities that could be served. Your input is important, so I would ask you to please come and find me and tell me your vision. You might think of the fact that seniors have trouble maybe when it's time for a television or something like that to go out of their lives. They may need help getting it to the place it can properly go to, and we could help them. So those are just a few of the ideas. Composting is a very fruitful one. Overall, globally, it's been released recently that burning and wasting the food that we throw away in the world amounts to the greenhouse gas emissions of another big country like the United States or China. So that's a huge amount contributing to climate change. And we could do something about it by giving the food back to the earth and making use of it in our gardens. So thank you. And then our other questions. Who's on my team? Well, Joe Wasserman's on my team. Joanne Bauer has been recruited to my team. Richard Frieder cannot get off of my team no matter how he tries. and through the wonderful mechanism of the community conversation, I encountered Terry Provost, who I don't think is here tonight, but is another exciting addition to this notion. And I think it's Sally Gagnon. There's somebody from Sheldon Oak on my list.
I think it's Sally.
What hasn't happened is a chance for us all to get together. And so I ask you to please join us so that when we get together, we are a larger and even more exciting group. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. next action team name is the Voice of Asylum Hill. However, it was written in some materials as Voice of the Asylum. And so, fortunately, Bernie Michael has a good sense of humor, and we made the correction.
I thought that was clever. Anyway, yes, so we did get together, and our crew, or our team, consisted of Susan Reynolds, Dan Flores, Albert Bell, Ted Carroll, and myself. So the five of us formed a group, and then we met the following Friday. So we got right to it. And one of the first orders of business was to join our group into an existing committee of the Asylum Hill Neighborhood Association, because we are an association rich with committees. And so that made more sense than to have another committee in the neighborhood. So we joined in with the communications committee, because what we felt was really important is reaching out to the many, many people in Asylum Hill that A, don't know that they even live in Asylum Hill, B, don't know what that means or where the boundaries are or anything like that, and that there is an organization like us. And then fortunately, and one of the main problems that we have is in Asylum Hill, we are 10% homeowners, and which means that we are 90% renters. And the renters, the 90%, are the hard people to get a hold of. So we began, and actually just this week, met with a number of the residents of Woodland House, which is one of those large buildings that are not as easy to access. In this case, it was a little bit easier than others, because Ted Carroll, who is on this list, is one of the residents at Woodland House. But it was a wonderful event. We got to know new people. They got to know us. They got to find out what we do. And so it's the beginning of it, and I think it's the impetus that we're going to go forward and begin to do this to a number of the other large apartment buildings in the neighborhood. Reverend Bell lives over at 10 Marshall Street, so he's on our list. He's going to get us in there, and we'll meet with some of the tenants there. And Dan Flores also lives in one of the apartment buildings on Woodland Street. So that's kind of our plan. We're going to see if we can't, one way or another, in the next 6 months, 8 months, reach out to every one of the apartment buildings that we can and get to know more people. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Bernie. And I know that at Hartford 2000, for many years, we've been talking about how it's more of a challenge to reach people who are renters than it is those who own homes. So it's very exciting to hear about this new initiative. So our next, and actually last, action team presentation will be by Alyssa Peterson, and she'll talk about the CCP action team, which is Comprehensive Communities Partnership. Alyssa, I see you in the back. So we can applaud for Alyssa while she walks up.
There we go. I think that's the first time I've ever gotten applause in Hartford, but anyways, good evening all. Our group came together in the South End, and it was a nice group because it was not a lot of faces that I knew. And the commonality between us was that we all missed a period of time, let's say back in 15 or 20 years ago, and I'm dating myself, when we had the mayor, Mike at the time, had convened a public safety committee. And I don't know if any of you remember that, but out of that grew a group called Comprehensive Community Partners or something, and we got some federal money. And one of the outgrowths of that was the ability to interface with state, the police, city, license and inspection, health, you name it. It was a tremendous time when neighborhoods could get together, meet monthly, and meet together with all these stakeholders. And a bunch of folks in the crowd that I was participating with decided we missed that. And how could we get back to that? Many of us already are in our NRZs, and we all participated in them, and we see the police there regularly, we see the fire there regularly, we see zoning regularly. So that wasn't the issue. The question was, where was the state piece? And for example, it was the judiciary. Where was the state's attorney's office? How many of you remember Jim Thomas, our former state's attorney, used to come out monthly and just talk to us? You know, hey, Lissa, how are you doing? Come out and talk about, you know, the issues of arrests, career criminals, what was the jail, what were the jails, what were they being done, and programs on the other end, corrections, bail. Anybody remember having all those?
If the papers ever pick it up or anybody else, you get all kinds of headlines and it gives the wrong impression. We're here to talk about getting along together, working together. And we're going to sign a petition like that? That isn't working together. So I wish they would change the name of it. Get your online petition. Go to the mayor with 2,000 signatures and tell him what you want.
With requests, is what you'd rather see. Thanks for the feedback. Back to the Wall of Fame, though. Yeah, you wanted to share what you saw, Sherman?
I saw something on the Wall of Fame. Well, then again, I want to ask about this blue, on the 27th, I believe it was Linda. It's going to be at the Blue Hills NRZ. Yeah. Is that right? Is that right, Linda?
November 7th is what you said.
And we talk about the quality of life, and we talk about all the NRZs. Was any of the other NRZs in the Northeast area invited to that meeting? Oh, no, not any. But they should be there. Oh, really? There were some. They all? I didn't get one across my Ted. That's you over there. Thank you very much. I will be there.
Sherman, did you want to share something you saw on the Wall of Fame, though?
Parks. I want to share our parks. I'm glad Jeff is here. Our parks and paths to our parks, and I think that's a great idea to clean up our parks so we can park ourselves and walk ourselves and bicycle ourselves throughout the whole city. In those park lanes, police officers, how are you? You're doing a great job, but we need more bicycle lanes, because I'm a bicycle, and these cars are parking in our bicycle lanes. Picture me bicycling. I can't even walk, but I had a few people that complained about it to me, so I'm bringing it to you, and I'm keeping it real.
So, aside from what you saw on the Wall of Fame, the things that you heard people share in the action teams, things that you can remember that came out of the community dialogues, results that you're excited about or impressed about? Anybody want to share things that you're happy to see that came out of these dialogues? Yeah, things you're happy to see.
Hi, I'm Catherine Kane from the Harriet Beecher Stowe Center, and I got to tell you, what I'm happy to see is this positive spirit, people together working to solve problems. It's very exciting. Good.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, Marilyn.
Hi, just a quick comment. I kept beating this topic to a pulp. Hartford, the capital city, we need to be it. There are only 50. We need to rise to that title.
Right.
Very briefly, I just want to say this feels like original sweetness. Thank you.
Eddie's over here.
Eddie.
Eddie, I went to the last one, but I'm more interested to work with Bernie Michaels now because we don't. I did some public safety stuff, so I guess I can join him. But I came out of it with a better attitude, and I was more happier to know that maybe we can push the city further. Maybe we can go to the big wigs and tell them if we put them in mayor's office or we put whoever in the offices, they should be able to work with us. After we have done all these 3 workshops and we want to do all this stuff on the outside, because we still have to change their ideas of what we are doing. And I was very upbeat about that. I came out and said, why not can't we do it? If Hartford 2000 wants to do it, let's see the West End do it. They didn't call many people, so I don't know about that, but I'm here to speak from my neighborhood. I'm willing to change it with police right now, because I'm still not too, happy yet. But I'll get there as soon as I see more results and things happen. But I came out of it with a positive idea.
Okay.
My name is Louise Douglas, and I am really excited to see that it doesn't matter if we live in the north end, south end, east, west, wherever we live in Hartford, our goal is the same. We want to live in a quiet city, we want to live in a safe city, and we want to be able to be kind and friendly and just meet our neighbors.
Thank you. And
hello, my name is Evelyn Richardson, and I live in the Northeast community. When I first came, I looked at the wall, but when you all gave us an opportunity to talk to somebody that been to the meeting, which I haven't been to any of the past ones, I got to turn around and speak to Mike McGarry. And he shared something that certainly is on my heart, because in the Northeast community, I heard Asylum Hill saying that they're 10% homeowners. I'm quite sure our statistics are much lower in the community that I live in, so it's even harder. And he touched on that one of the things that he would like to hear in these conversations about the economic development, because that's the strongest stronghold in my community. When I'm out doing my community work, getting people involved that don't have incomes is very challenging, and I'm hopeful that out of these dialogues, something on that will be a committee for our city, and especially communities where most people aren't homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dawn Green, and I represent Hartford Housing Tenants Organization. I'm president of that organization, representing 8 properties and over 2,100 families. I'm brand new to this organization, was invited by my friend here, Evelyn, but I'm very excited by everything that I've heard, and I already consider myself family. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Okay, Steve, and I think you might be the last one to share, unless somebody else is really burning. Go ahead.
I just want to share something. There's those of us who are here, I'll speak for myself, who was born and raised in this city. I go to a lot of meetings, but I hear very few people talk about young people in this city. Young people make up a large population in the city. I'm a product of the Parks and Rec programs that this city offered. Those of us that have been here, around here long enough, remember Night Gym. We remember Night Gym. We remember the Mr. Wares and the folks that kind of guided us and mentored us in those gyms. There wasn't always these big bang kind of projects. One of the things that I don't hear is I don't hear us talking about young people anymore, unless we're talking about the negative about young people. We need to really kind of check ourselves, because bigger ain't always better. You want to know where your kids are? My parents know where I was every night. I was at Night Gym. Mr. Ware was looking out for me. And I'm sure that there's other folks that grew up in this city could talk about things that happen in their neighborhoods. Getting community centers are nice, but they're not the answer. We need to look at, in my humble opinion, restoring parks and recreation. It needs to be a standalone department like it used to be. We need to let principals that run our schools make them understand you don't own that school. We own those schools. We need to open those schools at night and let our young people have a safe sanctuary to have some enjoyment, whether it be Karens, whether it be billiards, whether it be basketball, whatever. Here we are approaching the holiday season. You know what I remember? We had Halloween parties at Barber's School on Tower Avenue. We had Thanksgiving pageants at Barber's School. Parks and Rec did this now on Tower Avenue. We had Christmas at Parks and Rec at Barber's School on Tower Avenue. Not just Tower Avenue, but throughout the city. So if anything comes out of these conversations...
5 seconds, Steve.
We need to understand that bigger ain't always better, and it don't always cost a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, am I introducing Ted? Is that what I'm doing? Because I know things changed a bit with the speakers. So before I introduce the next person, let's give ourselves a hand as a community for all the wonderful things we've done because of these dialogues and because of these dialogues.
Say anything. Now's your chance.
And here's Ted Steggy, interim executive director. Is that right? Is that your title? A friend of mine whose title I forget. No, interim executive director of Hartford 2000. Here's Ted.
Hi, everybody. I had a bigger job at the beginning of the evening, but half of it's been done already because the mayor didn't show up, and Oz Grieber already spoke, and the chief of police already spoke. So I don't have to introduce any of them. But I would be remiss if I didn't say a word of deep gratitude to this place where we're meeting tonight, because the public library is a place like no other. It really lives up to its name. And we've had a lot of our meetings here. You couldn't count the cost of the meetings that we saved by meeting here. And Richard Frieder has been such a dedicated servant of this whole process. He's really made it work, made it happen. So I didn't want to have him just stroll up here for the third time without a kind word, because he's done so much for us. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Ted. And thank you to everybody. The one project partner who we haven't heard from, except for the folks who were not able to make it, is Matt Poland, the CEO of the Hartford Public Library. And he, in fact, could not make it, but he asked me to say a few words on his behalf. He really is delighted that the library is involved in this quality of life initiative. There's nothing more important than quality of life. There may be some things that are equally important, but there's really nothing more important than quality of life. It has an impact on economic development. It has an impact on health. It has an impact on our children, the future of the city. Some of you may know the Hartford Public Library has 10 locations around the city. Probably not many of you know that in the course of a year, we receive 800,000 visits. So in the course of 365 days, 800,000 times somebody comes into one of our locations and we help them in some way. So we're very much intertwined with the neighborhoods, with the people who live in Hartford, and it might be said that we are in the quality of life business. So we're especially pleased to be part of the team on this initiative. And as you've heard tonight, things have gone well so far, but this is not the end. We're going to continue on, and the library is very pleased to continue to be on the team and to work with all of you to move this quality of life initiative forward. So there's a few words on behalf of the library. I'm sorry, the best what? Staff. Oh, well, thank you. Say that louder. Say that louder. Thank you. It's our pleasure, really. The staff of the library is across the board really just incredibly devoted to our mission, and our mission is to help you, us, together make Hartford a better place. So we're thrilled to be doing it. I'm going to move on now to talk about next steps. We talked earlier about how we do not want this initiative to be something that's here today, gone tomorrow. We've all seen many times good projects, good initiatives get started, and then they sort of evaporate and disappear. We, and when I say we, I'm talking about all the project partners, Hartford 2000, the library, the mayor's office, the police department, City Council, Metro Hartford Alliance. We are committed to sustaining this effort. So we're going to do 4 things to help make that happen. First of all, there will be information on the Hartford 2000 website about this initiative, about the meeting tonight. So if you're looking for information, you can go to www.hartford2000.org. I'll tell you it's not there yet, but it will be soon. Second, we are going to, within the limits of our ability, help support the action teams to the degree that they need some support. Third, we're going to invite the team leaders, and really any of the team members if they want to come, to the monthly Hartford 2000 board meetings, where there will be a standing agenda item to hear from the teams, to hear a little about their progress and discuss things a little bit. And fourth, we will organize some kind of meeting, sort of a check-in meeting, early in 2014. It might be a meeting like this, or it might take a different kind of form. So again, those are all things that we think are going to help sustain this initiative. But we, the project partners, obviously, we can't do this by ourselves. This has to be a collective effort of all of you and others who are not in the room tonight. But we are really serious about having this achieve results and be sustainable. So, now, if you did not join an action team when you were at the community conversation, or if you weren't at the community conversations, the good news is that you have a chance tonight to join an action team. And Bernadine Silvers is going to come talk with us for just a minute about that. Bernadine?
As I look out here tonight, I am so happy. You know, one of the things that I really want to see happen throughout the city of Hartford, that people get together and make their community a better community for everybody. Every single neighborhood in the city of Hartford is responsible for making this a better city. And I look across at everyone that I see here, they're from various places, and I'm just so happy, I'm overwhelmed. I don't have a lot to say other than to say thank you for those of you who have attended all of our sessions. Thank you for those of you who only attended tonight. I think that it's very important that you look at each other and understand that together we will make this city the city that it is supposed to be. And it's good that people are here that don't know each other necessarily, because in Hartford usually we all know everybody. But since I've been at these 3 sessions, and then the 4th one, I've met people that I've never seen before, and I met people who have the same interests that I have, and I met people that have different interests than I have, and we need all kinds of ingredients to make this soup good. So I really thank you for coming, and I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to join any of the groups that you see around here. And also, Dr. Steve Harris mentioned another one, so anyone who's interested in Parks and Rec, please see him, and he will help you. See, because the one good thing that happened with this, people came wanting to complain to all the groups, and they decided it wasn't a venue to complain. It was a venue to get together and have action, which is very, very important. And we all were very surprised that it really worked like that, because we're usually very cynical in Hartford. We can always see what's wrong, never see what's right, and always can complain about what's not happening. But we need to get people together to help others who want to do what they want to do, what they have said they want to do. And one of the things that Steve is correct about, my children were raised at Central Baptist Church. Every night I got off the bus, went home, picked up the phone, called them after I started supper and said, send the Silvers home. Sam Saylor, different people like that sent my children home. Without those programs, I never would have been able to raise the children that I believe are great children that I raised, you know? So I think that's important that we can start another group if people are really interested. But I ask you, please join your NRZs. Please at least go and contribute to the NRZs. Also, please join an action group. And make sure that you also spend some time visiting us. And one of the things I want to tell you what's so important about this quality of life is our Emory Hightower is leaving the city to work for the state, but he's not leaving the city. He loves this city. And I want you to know that he is a person that helped us start the quality of life piece in the Siscon neighborhood. So I'm sorry that he's gone, but I want you to know that he's such a very important person in this city. And because of him, our police are a better police department. And I'm very, very happy that he encouraged all of the police to come. And I'm very grateful that we were able to be together. Oh, he's still here. We were able to be together in rooms together and not accuse each other of anything, but work together to make things happen. Please understand that you are very important to this process. You are very important to your neighborhood. You are very important to the city of Hartford. And half full is always better than half empty to me. Because you start at the table level and you just pick the folks up and the things up that are under the table and rise together to the top. So thank you very much for coming. Please stay in touch. When you hear Hartford 2000, come a running.
So,
I just want to thank I need to thank Ted Stagey for all the work he's done, and Carrie Lynn Engel, who was our public ally, for all the work she's done, for all the volunteers at Hartford 2000. Thank you specifically, Richard and Linda, for all the work you did on the program committee. And Tricia, where are you? Without her, things would not have happened here. This is a wonderful place to be. And it's a wonderful place, not because it's a building, it's a wonderful place because of the people who are in charge of it. Thank you.
So, to join the action groups, hopefully most of the action team leaders are still here. Find the pink paper with the name of your team, and everybody is welcome to join. Over here we've got recycling, composting, anti-incineration. Here we've got do not litter. Over here, celebrating community, Voice of Asylum Hill, CCP, and the Neighborhood Alliance. So go on over and we will have sign-up sheets so that the team leaders can let you know when the next meeting is.
And before you leave, please fill out your feedback form because we do want to learn from you.